Indy.
Wrestling is dead.
Welcome to episode 13 of Indie Wrestling is Dead. I'm still here in isolation. It's Andrew Bowers. Hi. Joining me today from his isolation station, Mr. Tom Campbell.
Ah, Mr. Bond, I've been expecting you.
And of course, I've got nothing prepared here. I'm just going to say, look at that, he's big baldy head. That's all I'm going to say.
Looks like Shrek.
Look at that big baldy head.
Look at that line. That's perfect, that hairline.
You paid for that haircut with Jews, I understand.
It's Mr. Chop. How you doing, Chop?
Hey,
right?
how's it going?
Good. And joining us today, our very special guest. It's not as good as a return as he made NCL 22 in December, I think it was, where he came off the rafters. It's Liam fucking Slater. Thanks for joining us, Liam.
Hello. No worries, thank you. Also, with that, Liam fucking Slater managed to get cut from the Sky documentary. If you noticed,
I noticed.
I thought it was a really weird cut where it went Liam, boom, and I was like, why is that cut so quickly? And then realised it's because Tom, you say fucking quite proudly and
I'd
loudly.
like to point out that was my instructions from Liam fucking Slater.
It wasn't.
Also, we were told that they would edit out anything like that. So when I remember at the start of that show, obviously I went out and I was like, we'll do a bit where we just get everyone to cheer and I'll say, welcome to fucking North Wrestling or North fucking Wrestling. I was like, it's okay if I swear. And they're like, yeah, we'll beep it out. It's like part of the underground appeal. And they never fucking did it. I was like, that pop's the only pop I've ever had. 100% manufactured, but
It's just wrestling, isn't it?
but you can't say Liam Slater without putting a fucking in the middle. So how are you doing, Liam? How's lockdown serving you?
Doing okay. Ups and downs with it.
Yep.
So we were just talking before we came on air about, obviously, outside of wrestling, I do personal training. So for me, a lot of this has been about trying to regain a business in a sense.
Yeah.
So ups and downs. I can't say it's been a smooth isolation by any sense.
I'm sure we'll come on to that a bit more because I think
This is iced tea, by the way. I'm not an alcoholic now.
oh, I am, and this is red wine.
This is Rhythm of the Night.
Oh yeah,
May
fucking
I
hell,
ask,
Tom
Liam,
Campbell
before we
drinking
do
the
anything
Corona.
I know, it's cheap now, isn't it? Because everyone thinks you're going to get it if you drink it. Liam, may I ask, because I'm nosy like this, what's plugged into the wall? On the left?
Here,
Yeah. Just nosy.
so laptop and phone charger, nothing exciting really. To sort of give you an overview of what this room is, I've got chargers over there. It's a radiator, jumpers, and all my resistance bands.
I thought they might have been scarves,
So,
but
yeah,
they
I've
are
also-
in fact resistance bands, aren't they?
Looks a little bit like Jericho's
resistance
scarf.
bands and a little bit. And I've got a barbell down by my side here because I'm a gym bro.
There you
Yes,
go.
you
It's
are.
in his workout room. Bowers, what's on the picture behind you?
Picture behind me is a poster from a gig, Future Islands, a band called Future Islands. I can't remember even if I went to it or not, but I like Future Islands, so Jade bought me that. That's sitting there. One of the many pictures that we haven't put up in our house yet, because we moved in about 3 weeks before we got told not to leave the house, so that's been fun.
And Chop, there's a lovely picture in a frame behind you.
That is of Tynemouth.
Oh, very
Tynemouth
nice.
Beach.
I thought it was too posh for
You
you.
don't live in Tynemouth, well. Could you not have a window?
Here we go. Come on.
I thought you just have a picture of Monks Eaton High School. Just
It's usually Whitley Bay, the front line of Whitley Bay, now.
No.
How about you,
I thought
Tom?
I'd do around the rooms and just see.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got nothing on the walls here. It's really boring.
Through the
I've
keyboard.
got I've got an action figure of the New Day that I won at a raffle at a wrestling show.
And can you remember which wrestling show that
decent
was?
raffle prize is that?
Isn't it?
It's all right, isn't it? It's all right. It's almost like I was the only one that entered. It was it MLW? Maybe MLW? Quite possibly MLW. Wow. I know my boy Ragnar was on the show, so it might have been MLW. I can't remember. But that was the prize.
Ragnar.
I was very proud. And I drank about 16 pints of Foster's because it was like £2 a pint. Lovely day.
Ragnar, who's famous for buying a spot on our ring canvas.
He did indeed. and he named a move after me recently, which I'm very proud
Did he?
of.
What is that move? And what's the name of it?
Because I was always a big fan. I'm always a big fan of Ragnar's nice crisp lariat that he hits. Big fan of the old crisp lariat. It's a nice lariat. And he named it the Camel Clothesline. So I have a move named after me in wrestling lore. I'm just waiting for it to appear on Cage Match now.
I can only imagine I'll just get like the Bowers bitch slap or something like that.
Your finisher will be, you ever played No Mercy?
Yep. Oh yeah.
The Linda McMahon slap from No Mercy. Which was block, slap, what have I done?
That sounds about right.
There you go.
Cool. So isolation so far. This is the day where it's been announced. That's another 3 weeks. I'm okay with it. Gotta say.
I'm fine.
It is what it is. I'd rather not, but we gotta keep on trucking. So Liam, we could talk a little bit more about lockdown. It's probably let's keep going with that theme because I think I've found it a little bit difficult to get motivated and to do stuff and to do more than one thing a day. Like that's why the podcast has probably not happened for about a week or so.
2
2 weeks. It's bloody hell. I just struggle to do more than one thing a day. It's like I have one thing of work to do, and it takes me all day to do what would normally take me about, I don't know, an hour or so. And I just think there's a lot of like weird mental states people are in, and mine is certainly like mental block and fatigue and motivation drain. So how are you feeling? Because I know you've posted about it recently.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, really, because it is something that I think is worth talking about. Just as much as possible, really. So, for me, I've massively struggled, and I think what I came to the realization of was that I was working in a gym where I'd be in there from 5:30 in the morning to 8:30 at night. I was going all day in the gym, so I was constantly going. Like, I have a step counter, and it's up at like 20,000 steps a day. To then come to being at home and going, what do I do? Like, there's nothing to do. Trying to get people set up, and then there was a lot of people that obviously go through a similar experience that I do, where they go, what do I do at home? And fitness, health just sort of goes off to one side, which means that then they stop getting in contact with me, or they lose contact with me, which then for me put me on a bit of a downward spiral of what nobody even wants my help. This is shit. So that took a while for me to get out of. And as well in the health and fitness space, there was almost like this big push of like, this is the time to do everything that you've needed to do and be as fit as possible, and this is the best workouts of your life. And I was just like, that's just not the case. No. It's across the board, it's just not the case. But because I see a lot of that, it really had a negative impact on my headspace, really. Because I was like, well, everybody else seems to be doing absolutely fine. Everybody else is doing Zoom 1-to-1 sessions where they've got like a full diary of stuff, and I'm sat here going, well, what do I do around it? Which has taken me a couple of weeks to sort of get out and around. I think you're completely right. I think it is easy just to go, I'll do one thing, or you get into that habit of doing one thing a day because it takes up so much energy almost. It's bizarre.
It's really strange. I was reading an article about it, or I got sent an article by my brother actually, because both my brothers said just yesterday they just feel knackered all the time, but they're not doing anything. One of my other brothers is working like me. He can work from home, and it's that thing. I think there's a lot of guilt that's being passed around from probably 4 people here are in really different situations. Actually, we've all got our own. Tom, you're working quite a lot. Chop, obviously you're working for the NHS, so you're working on the front line of it. And Liam, obviously your work has kind of dried up. My work's at home. Like I'm able to do it at home, and it's my business. I'm trying to run here, but everyone's in very different situations, but everyone's experiencing something that's just not anything anyone was expecting to ever experience in their life. So to have a weird or a reaction that is seemingly against the grain, I think is to be expected. I think
the common misconception is that everybody is okay but me.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of people online who post, like as you said, Liam, about like, I'm doing these Zoom workouts, I'm doing this, I baked this banana bread, look at me doing a thing, right? And it's all a front, because we're all like, I on the regular will post a tweet on a morning at like 5:30 and of me dressed, having a cup of coffee, starting the day. More often than not, I am not in the mood to start a day, but it's accountability. And it's putting myself into that mindset of doing it and putting that out into the universe. And I've discovered that even me doing stuff like that pushes other people through when they can't. So I've kind of, I feel like now, even when I don't feel like doing that for me, I do that for other people. Yeah. And I think that's important. But the common misconception is that there are people that have got their shit together with this, and nobody has. This is this is a lifetime changing moment that we're all living in, and nobody's got their shit together. So I also think they do, but they haven't.
I think the common misconception is that you have to have your shit together as well. Like it's okay. It's okay.
You absolutely don't. No.
I think anything that you're feeling at the minute, it's fine. Like whatever, as long as the feeling's not, I'm gonna go and have a barbecue with my mates down the park. Like, if it's a bit like weirded out, if it's a bit knackered, if it's a bit like, I mean, I had the first week where I was rattling through work. I was doing really, really well, and then all of a sudden it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and it wasn't really anything in particular. It was just like, can't do it anymore. Need to stop. Gonna just spend time with the kids, and just gonna clean the house every day. That's it.
Well, look at that first week. I mean, we did 3 episodes of the podcast that first week, and a watch along, God knows whatever else, and now it's just, as you've seen through the weeks, how it's just gone down and down and down. It's hard. It's
happened in the fitness community space where at the beginning, I think a lot of people were like, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this, and I saw so many people posting like timetables of what they were going to do, and that's just steadily dropped. And I think there's counterparts between that of like the people doing it losing the steam, and then also the people that have come out of the gym finding their rhythm with it. Again, we were saying before we came on that like, why am I not just Joe Wicks in Yorkshire? But that's not really, as much as I look like him, it's not really me.
You do a bit,
it's not really what my I just need a cast on and I'm good. But a lot of my clients don't like that sort of stuff, or they're not doing that sort of stuff. So then why would they suddenly take on to doing that? So I think it is like a sort of two-way street where people going gun-ho and like, right, okay, content, and then they find stuff that they like and they don't like, and then that just naturally comes down into it.
It's a bit like with the with those streaming shows and things like that. It got to a point where it was like, if we're going to be in, say we're in lockdown for, and the way I see it's probably going to be
12 weeks.
Yeah, like this is going to go on until the summer, and in fact, for the next year, it's not going to be for live events. Let's be really honest. I think the June live event ain't going to happen, and I'm not sure whether any of the events that in 2020 are going to happen. And if they do, whatever. Like my point is we might have a lot of time to fill with not enough content. So we had like putting the brakes on a little bit.
Cancelled gigs. Bowers cancels North. Yeah, no, it's true, and everybody's doing content. So it's and again, we all fell into the same trap where we went, let's do all the things, and we get burned out so quickly because work is at home and home is at work, and you're just tired, and we really mishandled that, and
I think everyone, just as a society,
as a society, we all got so excited that like and now there's another 3 weeks, and there's so many people now going, oh, so what to do now? I tell you what, you don't do anymore, right? a little whinge from me. Just a little one. Just a little one. I don't want to see any more people doing Facebook Live quizzes. Don't care. Don't want. Stop inviting me to your Facebook Live fucking quizzes. I'm not coming.
Do we tell them
not coming to your quiz.
Do we tell them about the feature we're going to do next? Or not? We're going to do a quiz.
If we're doing a Facebook Live quiz, I swear to God. Swear to God, I'm cancelling.
I was going to turn NCL 24 and 25 into Facebook online quizzes. So that's that fucked.
Question of quizzes.
We're doing North from an empty performance centre. I've had a chat with the governor of Florida, and wrestling's fine there. We can all go to Florida.
Somebody asked a really good question on Twitter. Actually, I'm going to find out who it was. I think it's a guy called oh god, Hamish McGonigal or Al. Basically said, with it more likely that indoor events aren't going to be able to take place because obviously the spread is worse indoors. Is it? Have I got an outdoor venue that would allow a crowd to carry out social distancing? And I kind of like that idea. I was like, hang on, can we do North in a field? Can we do it in
Time Out Beach?
Caesar's Palace!
I'd love that. It's kind of like, can we do it at like Hillheads, Whitley Bay Football Club?
Oh, the cricket ground.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even need seats because it can just go up the hill.
But that was his. I said no. I have absolutely no suggestions because I never even thought about doing it. But he said, I guess any Northern League footy ground would have the bar facilities, but maybe not the sound system. So Tom can just shout louder.
He usually does anyway, doesn't he? Yeah.
I'll just talk to the diaphragm, it'll be fine.
Yeah. But it's true. I know. I'm glad that. I'm glad that going back to what we're talking about. I'm glad that you spoke up about it as well, Liam, because I know that I think people were kind of thinking, oh, well, Liam's going to come out with some videos here, and it was actually weirdly enough, it was Shreddy who also recently put a tweet out, and I think he did a video as well where it was like it's totally fine to not be motivated or get anything done at the minute. And I know him. He's somebody who is also working from home, I think. And it's like I just don't think there's any right answer at the minute. And like
I think for me it was weird because I was coming in from it was still normal for me doing a full 37.5 hours week. So I would come in from where like, right, let's get a podcast born, let's just keep burning it as like we usual. But I didn't realise you two were like, Chop man, seriously, just take a step back because we are fucking pagged here.
A little bit, yeah, but in a way, but then you have that kind of like guilt of like, well, I've got a nice house. I live in a nice area. I'm lucky enough to have moved into a house with a garden, so I've got a little bit of survivor's guilt on that front. Like it's okay. And then you're working on in the NHS, and I'm like, there's a part of me which is like, well, I can't really complain. But then the environment of, so when I'm going to work and I'm taking the kids to school, and then I'm going into work, and then I'm managing my team where I work, and we're getting stuff done, blah, blah, blah. When you're in that just like constant, like get up in the morning, get up at 7,
routine.
Get breakfast, get in, go back to bed and like make tea really, really quickly, get blah, 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 and then do it all over again and do it 5 days a week. And then you have a little bit of time off at the weekend, but you probably go out and get hammered when the kids are back at their mums. And then let's do it all next week. Now that that's kind of gone. Now that that's gone though, it's like, how the hell did I do all that? Like, were we operating too heavy? And I honestly had to I had some time off for the Easter holidays for the kids, and I had to extend it and I'd take it longer. I've taken like nearly 10-12 days off now because it was like gonna have to just spend some time with the kids because I've got no idea what the fuck's going on.
I did similar.
I'm interested, but it comes to the wrestling. So go on, Liam.
So I was just about to say, like, I did similar where coming into it, I was very much on the lines of like, I'm going to go content. And I was just like, I don't want to work out. I genuinely, in this room, tried to do a workout. I had to put the bar down. I laid on the floor and I was basically in tears going, what am I going to do? So I had a good week or two out of just doing nothing.
Yeah.
Really, go on, Tom.
I think it's quite healthy to do that though. I think for me, just spending time with my family has been healthy. Like just to get my head now into this. All right, this is the normal now for the next X amount of time, and this kind of just like having to be patient. Like it's a new way of thinking, I think.
I think with
on like
with
a little.
obviously-
Sorry, Tom. Go on. You
No, you go on, mate. I talk forever.
No.
You carry on, mate. I'm always fucking here. You're never here. You talk, mate.
As as a bit of a almost another flip side of that, and another side of like stuff that people do. Not that I'm massively open about it, not for any other reason that I just don't really talk about it publicly. But I've got a little daughter with someone who's over in Wigan. So for me, I went across a couple of weeks ago, and then I was like, this isn't like essential travel. Like, I can't bring her back with me because, again, we're carrying and spreading that virus. So really, I don't know when I'm going to see her again. Which is it's one of those things where it's just another element where it goes, at such an unpredictable time. Like, how does this all fit together? Like, when does that happen? Like,
it's quite heartbreaking. That it is. It's hard.
And I live literally around the corner from my kids. I'm separate, well, divorced. I'm separate from my kids, live separately. Well, 50-50. And we had to kind of go like, I am gonna have to take, like, I have the kids half the week, but I can because I'm literally around the corner, and it's two isolated households. But it's like you have to. I mean, some people will probably say that's not right as well, and it's a difficult situation that we're all in, I think. And it's
as I said to you a few weeks ago, Bowers, you do what you think is best, 100% for your family, and that's the only way you can look at it.
That's all you can do.
You're not going to put your family in danger at the end of the day, are you?
No,
So
no, exactly.
You just do what you think's best.
Exactly.
I can't get fucking rid of my kids.
You can, but it's frowned upon.
Love you.
So anyway,
Right there.
I think hopefully that's our little coronavirus-y, lockdown-y kind of debrief for that. And let's go right back to NCL 22. So not our last show we ever did, but the one before that. Back in December 2019, when we saw the triumphant return of Liam fucking Slater. Now, do you want to
saw that coming?
Do you want to shed any light on? Because I know you did your promo. There's a really good promo that you can see on our YouTube channel of Liam kind of from the heart explaining a little bit. I think being a bit more of a real, actual Liam Slater, and explaining why. But do you want to go in depth of how that happened or how that came about? And
yeah.
Tell them how many messages I sent you over the year that you were gone.
A decent amount. So it came out of nowhere, really. I can't remember. I apologise for not remembering the name, but someone brought up that the birthday video, I'm wearing like the same hat and vest and bum bag and all that sort of stuff. And I wish I could have said, oh yeah, this was all like planned from that point. It wasn't. It was just the attire that I had. Like it was pretty much a couple of weeks beforehand. If we're completely breaking kayfabe, it was Shreddy that messaged me saying like, there's this match that's coming up, and you probably fit in quite well to it. And then, if anybody knows Shreddy, he's good at twisting people's arms and he talks a good game. Not that you'd guess by his gimmick. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like this sounds epic. So. We sort of got it all sorted, and I went, yeah, let's do it. And as like I say in the video, as it got closer to the time and as I was training a little bit more, everything just sort of felt like it was ticking back into place. My training had a little bit more meaning behind it. I was enjoying being back in a wrestling ring again. I was enjoying working with some lads at UKW that I'd not worked with before, who were really, really talented. So for me, it was just nice to get back into that circle again. And then obviously did the show, and I was like, yeah, this is some cool shit that I'm missing out on.
Out of interest, before Bowers jumps in with another question, I'm just intrigued. Well, there's two things. It was one that when that video played, the Happy Birthday North video played, yours was genuinely the loudest reaction from the crowd. Only second to Dwayne Gill in terms of reaction from the crowd.
That's fair.
Gilbert got a pop and a half. And also, obviously, Shreddy had approached you about the match. But had Shreddy not approached you, why would you have come back at North?
Cool.
As opposed to any other promotion that you've worked for?
So, one, like, I completely don't know how the happy birthday video went down. Like, I've genuinely not seen any response out of it. So I mean, I just sent it across to you, Bowers. I know you messaged me, and I'm like, yeah, I can do that, no worries. And then that was it really. I was like, that'd be a nice little nod, and I sort of left it like a little bit ambiguous. So yeah, like that's cool. That it was a worry for me coming into it, that I was like, are people really going to be that arsed? Like, I know people like would be bothered, but yeah, I think it spoke louder than I was expecting it to. The reason why if Shreddy hadn't have messaged me and sort of pitched that idea and put it all together in that form, I don't think that I would have come back, if I'm being completely honest. More of a case about I went, you know what, I've taken that step away, and like I watch stuff and I keep up with it and that, but I wasn't really like that bothered about coming back into it. It was only once I started again that I was like, oh yeah, like I really enjoy the training, and like for me, I mean, this is why I'm a PT. As much as I love like the wrestling side of it, I love the training, I love the drills, like I love the cardio side out of it. Like I've got a real passion for that, like the training out of it, as much as I do like being in ring and performing. So once I got back into that was the setup to go, all right, actually I can sort of keep doing this. And again, I don't think it had been anywhere other than North. For me, North has always been the place that I've been allowed, or at least I've expressed myself in the ways that I always wanted to express myself, and I've been given sort of a free rein basically to be the character, be the wrestler that I wanted to be. I've always loved the North branding aesthetic. I've always thought it was cool. Like that's what I envision like indie wrestling to be, is that. So to be involved with that has always been it's always been cool. So yeah, that's the reason why I came back into North.
I think was North the first place where you kind of turned heel. Had you done a heel character before?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I'd done some bits of heel stuff before, but North was really the place that I got an opportunity to go, this is a fully fledged like heel bad guy character, which I'll be completely honest probably sits more along my personality lines than being a babyface does most of the time.
Saying that, though, Liam Lazarus is still regarded as one of the, certainly in like northeast, northwest, and in the north. Liam Lazarus, when North began, was definitely considered one of the biggest faces in that area at the time. But I was just
I put that down to Venga Boys, really.
Yeah,
don't get started on that.
But I think it was like when that opportunity came up, because people aren't familiar with the full history of it. It started off with you and Don Black kind of against Sons of Ule. That was our first real big storyline that we'd ever done, and it ended up with you turning on Dom and kicking him in the balls. And it was like, and then after that, you kind of aligned yourself with Tom's good friend Jack, and kind of played on a couple of like what culture defiant type tropes because you were involved in that. And honestly, I could see like the fun or the fun that I was having with it, and the fun that you were having with it, and the fun that everyone was having with it. It was like all of a sudden it was like the Cancer Monster, like you wearing your cut off t-shirts, you wearing your bobble hat, and it was like, fuck, this is really, and that's where I now get my like addiction to turning people who are ordinarily face into heels. I just love it. It's like, it was like Shreddy when we turned him heel. He was like, I'm not a heel. I was like, oh, yes, you are.
And now I can't imagine him being anything else.
No. That character taps way too much into his actual psyche. But I think with like Liam Slater and North at that time, before you came back, when you were heel and kind of feuding with Rory, it seemed to allow you to give you this little bit of like freedom to explore maybe something that you hadn't done before, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And like it gave me the opportunity to properly step away from I do dancing, basically. It allowed me to go, right, okay, this is actually more of me in this persona, rather than it being a persona that was based around a song, a character that like, I don't drink, I'm not really a party sort of person. It was through, not a necessity, but it was through trying to find something different that I came up with the Venga Boys. I don't know if I ever told you about the reason why I started using the Venga Boys. Cool.
No, go for it.
So
that'd be a really cool story.
To go off on like a little bit of a tangent with it. At the time that I started wrestling, so we're talking like 2011, 2012-ish, I think my debut match was April 9th, 2012. Everybody was using like rock songs. That was like the in thing, especially like in the West Yorkshire area. And I had as well. And I went, you know what, it's not really working. What can I do that's a little bit different? So I was sat on the bus to uni, and I'm a big fan of like 90s dance music. I quite like 90s dance music. So I had like 101 like 90s dance music compilation on my iPad, and not my iPad, my iPod Classic 80 gig. Excellent.
Lovely bit of kit.
And at the bottom it was We Like to Party by the Venga Boys, and I sort of sat there, I listened to it, and I went, that's quite a nice drop there, and then it sort of pieced together. And I was just on a show, it was called GBW. They ran in Leeds and Middlesbrough, to nobody basically, but it gave me a really good foundation on working in front of nobody. So I used the song there, and I went, yeah, I can sort of feel where this is going. And then the first time that I used it on like a proper wrestling show was NGW did like an over 18 show at Welly, which is where WrestleVerse is now running. Yeah. I was a replacement for Dean Allmark because he couldn't get there, so I was wrestling Zach Gibson, of all people, which I mean is pretty cool looking back on it. And I said to there was a guy called Geach who was like Rich Dunn's like right hand man, and he was sorting everything out. And I was like, Geach, let me use the Venga Boys, and he's like, no, that's stupid. It's never going to work. Like that's just dumb. I was like, no, just. I've used it. It sort of works. Give me a chance and let me go with it. So we're in an over 18s nightclub, on an over 18s wrestling show. Everybody's pissed, and then
good
suddenly
sound system.
We Like to Party. A really good sound system, and then suddenly We Like to Party comes on, and it fucking lifted. And then we were like, okay, cool. Like we've got something here, and it sort of spawned out of that. But then that sort of that was the character. It became everything. But it was never really who I was. It was more of a necessity of me going, okay, cool, so this is over. How do I keep building from there? So yes, it's over as an entrance, and then I come in and just do wrestling things. How can I incorporate that more into the wrestling?
And then do you remember in your matches when we used to do the test of strength? And you put your hand up.
Yeah.
And you put it down. And then you put it back up. Well, I was doing the music, and I would stop playing the song again in the middle of the matches, and you could see your opponents just like, for fuck's sake, turn this fucking music off now, man. Jesus.
There's a couple of things I think sorry, go on.
But the crowd loved it.
Oh, they absolutely ate it up, yeah.
The MEW show where like that happened, whoa, it was ridiculous.
It would go on for about 10 minutes, wouldn't it?
A silly amount of time.
Would I?
I remember seeing it at an Absolute show, probably the one at I can't know, probably at the Linskill, and it was like there's two things I think with what you said there which are dead on. As soon as I saw it, I was like, family crowd loves it. I was like, but an adult crowd will love it even more, and that is true. That was true. But the second one, I think, that is kind of shows you the kind of wrestler that you were or are. And I know that was a little bit earlier on, but it was kind of going, okay, I've got the entrance, I've got that over. What do I do next? And how do I now turn that into something a bit more? I'm not naming names or anything because this is wide in every industry ever of having a really good fucking thing and then going, that's it. That's all I'm ever gonna fucking do. Like I'm good with that. The best ones are the ones who then go, okay, how do I use this to then do this, and then go that really good idea that I had exactly, and then having that sometimes shedding what is a really fucking good idea and going like you did when you turned heel, was going, thanks for that really good idea, got me really over, I'm now putting that to one side and I'm gonna go and get better in other ways. Or not that you weren't a bad wrestler anyway, but I think that kind of like the bravery that I think you had with that, and then the ability to kind of pull things to the next level was why it worked at North, because I think I'm quite famous at going, I don't know, what do you want to do? That's why.
You're like
Probably.
a laissez-faire Paul Heyman. Is the best way to describe it, where you're just like, go out there and kick ass. I mean, if you want, it's, you know.
I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that happens like behind the scenes. Like there's a lot of like talking and stuff. Me and Liam have had with Irish and other people as well. We've had a lot of conversations about storylines, whatever. I like to think my thing is just going, nah, that's not a very good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. Go on and do it. That's fine. Just do that. That's fine. But yeah. But I think that was one thing with Liam, why Liam worked in North so well, is because of that ability to go, right, how the fuck, we've got a good idea there, how do we make this a really fucking good idea, or how do we make this match something special? And I think that's an attitude that you've shown for in pretty much everything that you've done. So there's some smoke blowing up your ass.
Chill on. I love it. Thank you.
I don't know what your status is now, Liam, in terms of like the wrestling side of things, at least. But is there anything that you would like to either still do or do again?
So in terms of where I am wrestling wise, I'm very much doing it for the passion of it at the moment, I guess. So I'm not looking to return to it in the same sense that I was in it before. One, because I really like personal training. It's funny, like after the return match at North, and then I went back into the gym again like the next Monday, and I had my first session. I was just as happy doing that as I was wrestling, and at that moment I went, I've got a really nice balance here. I've got a really nice balance of things that I can do. And it'd be really, really easy to be like, every weekend let's go to a show and let me cut down my hours in the gym so I can go training. It's just not. It's not a feasible point. No,
balance is not
really
something that's encouraged in British wrestling or wrestling at all. Which is so to be able to have that, I think, is commendable.
Yeah, and like it's finding those bits that I do enjoy. It's finding those places that I do enjoy being and going, right, okay, how can I get the most out of those? So to answer your question, Tom, in terms of what I'd like to do, I'm still a little bit unsure on it, really. Like I'd like to enjoy it as much as possible. I'd like to see what happens with it. If there's anything that I could do again, it's not so much that I'd want to do it now, but to be able to go back in time and enjoy and take in some of those like early things that I did, and really like take that time to appreciate it. So for example, like for the like the What Culture stuff and the Defiant stuff, like the amount of like names that like sometimes I sit there and I talk to people and I go like, oh yeah, like I wrestle and I wrestle quite a lot, and then to be like, oh yeah, I've like wrestled this person, I've wrestled this person, and I've gone like, man, at the time I really didn't appreciate that. So it's more of a case that I'd like to go back and appreciate those. In terms of now, it's just a case of me enjoying it the most that I can, and getting the most from it regardless of where I go.
I think it's a good base to work any kind of career off, not calling it a career, but if you can get the passion for it first, and then most importantly, which doesn't get talked about ever, balance, and having that balance in your life and being able to go, I'm going to do this for the enjoyment. Well, I think whatever comes after that, will be, you'll be able to enjoy it a little bit more. I do think there's a problem. British wrestling, is everyone there? I think I talked about that. I think there's a problem with British wrestling at the minute or just wrestling where balance is not encouraged. The ones, it's not the ones that succeed, but the ones that get used more are the ones who are slogging their fucking guts out, and it's almost used as like a yardstick. So if you're not slogging yourself to death, then I've got 10 other people that will be, so they're going to go ahead of you. And whilst it's difficult to understand as a promoter how best to what yardstick you should be using, I don't know whether slogging yourself, certainly in these times that we're living in now, I don't know whether slogging your guts out is the right way to, gauge who's more worthy of the opportunities. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that is in itself is a hard balance to find. For me, in terms of people that I gravitate to, in terms of trainees, part of it does come down into that graft and into that dedication of it, because you've got to put those reps in. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there. But on the other side, I think there's sometimes that if you have something about yourself, that shines through more, and you might not have to do as much, but you can still get those positions. For me, then I think that becomes the case. If people do have something that's good about them, how do they best put themselves into good positions?
Exactly. I'm going to duck out quickly because we've got the 8 o'clock NHS
so we'll keep it running. We'll keep the audio recording. I'm going to keep the video recording. Just put your headphones down, get your doors, and we'll come back in about 8:05.
Run for the border.
Okay. See you in a second, guys.
Right. Back in a sec.
Pay some dues, Chop.
Clearly, I've started this early.
So, how did it? Was the full
Someone
street
doing
out?
bongos in the street.
What's that?
Hang on.
The Mrs. is trying to get us to put the decks out in front of the garage one week. It's not fucking happening.
Oh, it will be. I guarantee you that's happening in like 3 weeks' time. When they
Chop, I
I'll
didn't
pay
clap for
dues
you.
before I start doing that, mate.
I didn't clap for you, Chop.
What's new?
I clap for everybody else. I clap for everybody else. It's
This isn't for Chop.
yeah. Chop, try harder. Well, the one night I did send you a video, didn't I?
Yes, you did. I've seen that. Very good.
Pay your dues, Chop. It's a bit I don't know whether it's the right word I'm using. It's a bit Orwellian, isn't it? Like, I'm glad that we're doing it. That the whole thing of like all our normality has changed, but the one thing that we all do is we stand on our balconies and clap.
It's weird.
It's a bit Orwellian. It's a bit Pavlovian. And
There's a lot of weird stuff going on.
I mean, no pay rise, just give her a clap every Thursday. Thanks very much.
Mate, we're paying you in our love.
No
did a
pay,
great job.
no extra pay, no PPE. Don't worry about it. You got a clap. Don't worry.
Chop, listen, mate. As soon as you find the cure, the sooner we can stop because my hands are hurting. So if you can
Well,
hurry
a
up
hot
and
tub
find
of the
the cure.
weekend, that's the closest thing I'm finding a cure to, I tell you.
Way-oh. Phil,
So, where were we at?
nice.
Do you want a funny Liam Slater story?
I'd love a funny. I know we've got one lined
Yes.
up, but yeah.
So, Absolute's first ever show. Morden Bridge. Do you remember this, Liam? It was the King of the North tournament.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like a weird little venue, right?
yeah, you're taking on Primate in the semi-final.
That's actually my daughter's middle school.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're taking on Primate in the semi-final. You win, and Primate decides to beat the living shit out of you at the end.
Yeah.
To give that, he's got to try and win the final even though he's hurt. So Drew says,
Gotta get
Chop,
his
can you do us a favour? Can you just go out and help Liam come back? Yeah, no problem, not a problem at all. So I'm trying to do my best. Are you all right, mate? Can I help you up and all
Pain
this
his dues.
shit? No, let's just put my arm over and trying to take you out. And Liam just goes, "Watch out for the spear." The fuck did he just say? And then all of a sudden, Primate comes darting out of the curtains, fucking spear. And I just chuck Liam straight into fucking Primate. I ain't for that life, mate. I'll tell you that right now. I fucked up backstage as Joe. You never do that again, like. Tell us the truth. Tell us what's happening, man. Right.
So,
We got another story.
well, I was also going to ask, seeing as we're talking about Absolute Wrestling, there's a story that we've mentioned on the podcast before, the Liam Slater and was it Ridgeway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deep nightclub.
Yeah.
in Whitley Bay.
That weekend was something. That is probably one of my favourite oddball weekends of wrestling. So I can't really remember how much you went into with the story. Basically, Absolute were running a 3-night tournament. One of the nights and the Saturday got cancelled for some reason, apparently.
Some promoter had shitted on when said we didn't have insurance, so they had to cancel it.
Yeah,
That never happens in the County Durham area, does it? I wonder who that was.
Which is a shame, but then also it meant that we all ended up going on a night out. So in a hotel room, there was me, Chris Ridgway, and Chuck Cyrus that had all been paired together. I just knew Ridgway, didn't really know Chuck at all, really. but we all sort of bonded and really got on. So yeah, we went out to see the sights of Whitley Bay. Ended up in Deep. And
had a super kick party.
Had a super kick party. Proceed to do. Like, looking back on it, if anybody else had been like, oh yeah, we were on the dance floor, we were like doing wrist lock reversals, I'd be like, jog on, you fucking losers. But like,
you were in Whitley Bay though, so it's fine. Get away with it.
Standout moment with it. Primate clears the area, clears the area around him, and then proceeds to go into a worm, but does like a backwards worm, so like jumps back into it, and there's a lass that just walks by and he just drop kicks her. Like, it's class. He just wipes her out, and then proceeds to do the worm, as Jay would. And then on that night, we got back to the hotel room and decided to do a ghost hunting video. So there's 3 parts. I cannot find them. I wish I could find them on my Facebook. For whatever reason, I can't find the video.
Well, funny enough, it's this weekend. Because in my memories, it's come up in my memories that it was this last...
sick, yeah.
Tonight was the night that was cancelled, so it might be tomorrow. Yeah, Facebook Live will come up on your memories.
Wow.
If it does, I will send you them across, or at least send you the ones that I have.
Right.
Yeah, just daft. We were rolling like around the corridors and running here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, it was a bizarre one. Something that I've never really told, because it was just something that ended up happening. On the Sunday, was it the Sunday or was it the Monday? On the Monday, once everything had done, we were in Newcastle, just sort of wasting time before, like, as all the trains and stuff were coming. We ended up in like a Weatherspoons, and there was a guy who ended up coming over and chatting to us, and he was an ex-military from somewhere. His nickname was like he was like, oh, everybody calls me So Happy because I am so happy. Just this bizarre conversation, and we were pitching this like ghost hunting idea to him, and he's like, yeah, I'm in, and we were like, yeah, but we need like 50,000 to like get it run. He's like, yeah, let's do it. This sounds amazing. Let's do it. So yeah, that was a bizarre moment. Where
if he's listening,
who the fuck is this guy?
if you're listening,
if I ever see So Happy again, oh good lord, what a pop that'd be.
I reckon somebody must know who So Happy is. That's not many names like that.
No, like a Polynesian
now.
man.
That'll be him now.
That's it. So Happy he's here.
See that or Vince. Vince. Prefer not answer the phone either way.
Whose phone was that?
That was mine.
You still got landline from the 90s.
Breaking, Chop has a landline.
It's like something from like Live and Kicking. And here is it's So Happy.
No, but what I got from that weekend is with the 3 years, it was mad because you could just see that camaraderie between the 3s. Because obviously you'd only just met Chuck for the first time. I wasn't sure about Ridgway if he'd met him before or not. But like you could see Ridgway was having the absolute time of his life. I remember Chuck on the Sunday was just like, I've had the best 3 days ever. I want to come up here more and more often. And he still texts us to this day saying, oh, have a word, try and get us up. I say, I would love to get you up if I could. But it's just because he's so
Chuck
far away.
is class.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a shame. And it took an Absolute to go, yeah, let's bring him in. Yeah, like no worries.
He worked really well. He worked really well in Absolute, like.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
But Ridgway is another one it's just so good, man. It's insane. I know he's having a bit. I don't know if you've seen what's been going on Twitter, but
yeah,
I just hope that God everything's okay and he keeps doing what he's doing. And if that's what he wants to do, if he loves it.
Big fans of
Ridgway has always been the person that I have always looked at and gone like, if there was a wrestler, if there was someone that I went, this is exactly what I want to be. It's Ridgway. Like to me, he's the epitome of cool. He's the epitome of just charisma.
And he's 10 out of 10 for good looking. I mean, how
he's a
Jesus Christ, man.
Stunning dude.
He is, yeah. It's a shame because he was supposed to be on the show that was last weekend, was it? Last Sunday. Right. He was supposed to make his comeback. He's only ever been on one North show, just never really able to get it together, unfortunately. But yeah, he's quality. He's a really good guy as well. Really good dude. So,
he's a more physically together Timothy Thatcher, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Timothy Thatcher's amazing, and it was funny to see him on NXT this week. But he has sort of this gnarled, grizzled veteran stance about him.
But also
Ridgeway's,
quite handsome as well.
Similar style. Yeah, very handsome with it. Handsome boy with it.
But how mad is that though, right?
But Ridgeway's got that kind of style.
How mad is it that the 16th of April, today, 4 years ago was the actual night they went and done the bloody ghost hunt? Is that just like the weirdest
That's
thing that
weird.
all of us have just done it?
That is weird.
You know?
That is weird.
Crazy.
I mean, we planned it. That's what it was. It was like 4 years ago, guys. Oh, we planned it. I'll tell you what though.
Can you remember who you were wrestling on the Sunday, Liam?
Was it a ghost?
Slimer?
No, it was Ridgeway on the Friday. I want to say it was Howard.
It was Howard, yeah.
Yeah, get
was
it. I
it?
thought it was. Yeah.
I was going to suggest Aaron Jacobs. I'm a bit slow on the ghost one though.
I've got the card from the Sunday actually here.
Oh, go on. Let's hear this. Come on.
I tell you what, like it's a class card. Like that tournament is, if it had come off, would have been fantastic.
Yeah. Well, it was the first round match was Zach Gibson versus Matt Myers. There was a tag team match between, or was a four-way, I'm not sure, between CJ Banks, James Drake, Mickey the Dragon, and Ian Robinson. And there was just a normal match between Ricky J. McKenzie and Chuck Cyrus. The New Nation took on Wild Boar.
Sam Gradwell.
Ah, that's it.
Is that who that is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a tag match between the New Nation and Wild Boar and Morgan Webster. That was insane. That he was jumping off all sorts of things in there, Flash Morgan, man. That was crazy. That.
Where was this at?
That was at the NE6.
I came to this show.
Took on Chris Ridgway.
You not allowed to say his name anymore.
Am I not? No. Chupa Chups took on Chris Ridgway. And then obviously it was the main event. Oh no, it wasn't. It was first round match. Sorry, I thought I said main event. Liam Lazarus versus HT Drake. That's a hell of a card, that like.
It is, yeah.
Some talent on that.
Night.
What was the second night?
That was the last night. I haven't got
the
first night because I haven't got it. I'm just looking through my memories on Facebook and that's what popped up.
Second night was going to be Rock Hogan, Cena versus God, and it was going to be the best night ever, but then it just got cancelled.
So, okay, Liam. So was Absolute the first time that you'd wrestled in the Northeast? Was that the first company?
No.
Or you worked a lot?
So, Tidal had done some Darlington shows. It's funny, and like I've got a lot of time for Ian, who's the Tidal promoter, but it had worked out really nicely in that obviously they lost Eddie Kingston recently, which is a big shame, and they brought in Dan Maloney, who's a fantastic talent. But on the first set of shows that they did, Eddie Kingston had dropped out on those ones. And I was the person that they pulled in to fill that slot. So they could have done like Liam Slater replacing Eddie Kingston again if they wanted to. But I'm pretty sure I'm the only person that actually knows about that, or like actually knows that I was like meant to be the replacement. That was a real fortunate turn of events where obviously Kingston dropped out last minute. Liggs had sent me a message because Liggs was my trainer at that point and was like looking out for me and got me quite a lot of stuff, which I'm very grateful for. And he was like, the Tidal show's on Tuesday, can you make it? And I was like, I'm meant to be in work, but give me a second. And in my uni class, I literally walked out the door, got on the phone to work, and like, can someone cover my shift? Cool, thanks. Went back in again. Sent a message like, yeah, I'm good for it. So Tidal was the first time I was up in Darlington, and that's where I met, I want to say it was Drew and Mickey that were MEW guys, and then they got me onto MEW. So MEW was my first sort of step into Northeast wrestling, which then spread everywhere. Like I basically lived in Newcastle. Yeah,
I was going to say, because by the time that we started North back in 2016, and it was you versus Damien Dunn in our first ever match. First ever match in the Riverside. You were everywhere. You were everywhere in the Northeast. Like it's certainly in like Newcastle, you were well established and well known as a local face. Yeah, I've got you. I've got the Absolute Wrestling the first night of the tour, and
this
it was
is
you.
Pilo, wasn't it?
What weird venue that was.
Yeah.
Pilo, yeah.
Upstairs.
Pilo Social Club. Liam Lazarus defeats Chris Ridgway. Chuck Cyrus defeats Mihai. B-Jum defeats HT Drake.
Who?
How many?
Oh,
Chop.
no, Chubba
Chubba
Chop.
Chop.
How many times did you do that match? Because I'm sure I saw that match about 5 times at Absolute.
Quite a few.
New Nation versus the Coffee Brothers.
Oh.
So hang on, you were driving in different people for this 3-night tour.
Oh, we just
You had
drove everybody.
3 different
Fucking cars. Just had money
3
to burn,
different
eh?
cars.
Do you not remember that
Martin-
time when Absolute was owned by Tony Khan? Basically what was happening here.
Then you had Martin Kirby defeating Prince Amin. That would have been a good match.
Yeah.
That would have been a
Yeah,
really
it was
good
class,
match.
that.
And then Rampage defeats Wolfgang. Big old Hoss match at the end. That would have been good. There you go. So anyway, back to Liam. So Liam, when did you? When was it that you left wrestling? I know that you'd done. I think the last match you had for us was Rory Coyle. And I think it was NCL 11.
Is that where you walked through the crowd?
Yeah.
I believe so.
At the end?
Yeah.
No, you left. You left at the. Let's have a look. Storm's here. That was Martina. No, it was NCL 12, and it was a really, really fucking good match. Nobody prayed for me. We'd built that up as a big Liam versus Rory Coyle match. It looked like you were going to win as well. And then right at the end, you leave, and it was dubbed over, but you not dubbed over. It was subtitled, and it was like you were like, "No, I'm done. That's it. I'm done." And I think that was the last.
I think that was a primate match. So in terms of the way that it breaks down, I stopped wrestling January. What would it be? 2018, I think. I'd made the decision October time, and I started pulling out and moving away from it around that point. So if you look at that period of time, there's a lot of like loser leaves town, and like
there is, yeah.
If I lose this match, like I retire.
Primate against us in the January, loser leaves Rise in the March. You then came back for the one match in September against Rory Coyle, and then that was it as far as cage matches concerned.
Yeah.
And obviously in between those, you had World of Sport.
Yes.
Which is that something that you look back fondly on?
Yeah. Not massively. So that was a case of getting a phone call again and going like, "We need some people for this. Can you do it?" And I was like, "It's ITV. It's mainstream TV. Like this is something that like I can forever be like, cool. I did this. Like I made it to a good point." So I went, yeah, sure. Looking back on it, they didn't need me there. They did not need me there in the slightest. It just like I was just fodder and excessive fodder that didn't really need to happen. But I mean, you can look back on at the time when we finished the set of tapings. I think everybody was on a massive high of like, this is class. Like this is it. Like we're going against them.
I remember seeing that first trailer that they put out. And it was like, oh, fuck, this looks amazing.
Yeah. And
it felt like a big deal.
And there's just a couple of, like, there's just different things where it was like, the booking of the show, when you look, just doesn't make sense. And then the editing didn't help it, and I think it just lost steam.
Yeah.
And it was never really invested into properly, which is a shame. But again, those things happen. And it was hard because it was like they were playing on like, oh yeah, it's World of Sport, but it's not World of Sport, and it's nothing like World of Sport. But here's the name, it's World of Sport. And remember Big Daddy, and remember Giant Haystacks, but it's nothing like that. But then there's a guy that looks exactly like Giant Haystacks. Do you remember Giant Haystacks? But we're not doing that at all. And it was just such a.
And yet you were one of the wrestlers who probably had that World of Sport style.
Yeah.
So
Which
yeah,
like I mean,
I could have easily done that style. We could have done that style, but instead it was like, no, we've got to go like American wrestling because this is what people know. And it was almost like
a lot of people. It felt like a committee making decisions. Like it was you want World of Sport, you want the name value of World of Sport, but you don't want the style of World of Sport. You want it to be American style, but not too American. You want to have long-term stories, but not too long and not too focused, because we want casual people to come in. But when those casual people come in, we want them to be invested. But therefore, we don't want to invest them too much, because then you'll lose more casuals coming in. It felt like, the old phrase is a camel that is a horse designed by committee.
Yeah.
And this felt like a wrestling company designed by committee with lots of different things lots of different masters to appease, and that I think was the big issue. Was that the case? Because that's what I got from watching it.
Yeah, so the lads that put it together and were like in front of running it was a guy called Rob, and like lovely dudes, really nice, really genuine. And then there was the wrestling side out of it, which is like Alex Shane and Doug Williams was involved in being a producer. A couple of other people that were involved in that as well. So like there was a lot of good talent and there was a lot of good people that were involved in it. But then I think it was the case of it going higher up, and I think it lost its way. And I think like if you look at the NXT UK product, I think they've done a good job on going, here's some talent that we're establishing. And it was that, I think for them that was a bit more of a long-term thing, whereas the World of Sport just felt like it was like, well, let's get these 10 weeks out. Let's go.
And I wonder whether that was a case of like, because they didn't have a product to start off, but this was literally going in from scratch and going, right, like Tom was saying, it's going to be this like mishmash of like different things. It's going to basically, we want it to get gladiators figures watching it, but we want to do a wrestling show, and it's kind of it was a bit like the old wrestling shows that were happening around 2005 that on the British scene, and like all American wrestling type stuff. And I think if they didn't have a product,
it felt like that you wanted to it was one of those where like wrestling fans like, and I feel really bad slating it, because I love the fact that it even was a thing that happened. I love that we got to that point where like wrestling was on Saturday evenings again, and I was excited about it, and I still am. Like the idea that we're now getting back to that point where British wrestling is almost becoming a thing again. Drew McIntyre potentially up for Sports Personality of the Year on the BBC. Drew McIntyre is the first British heavyweight champion.
What?
Yeah, there's talk like we have a British heavyweight wrestling champion. 5 champions in the WWE are from Scotland right now.
But if he loses it, if he loses the title, though, he's from Scotland.
If he loses it, he's Scottish.
He's from Scottish.
Absolutely.
The Andy Murray of wrestling. Miserable cunt.
He is our Andy Murray. Come on, Murray. But I love the fact that happened, and it frustrates me when I insult it, because I don't want to. Because it just felt like wrestling fans weren't invested because it felt very watered down from what they know. Non-wrestling fans, and I watched the Twitter, non-wrestling fans came in and went, "What is this garbage? Can you not just play Midsummer Murders?" And and that was what you're up against. See, therefore, you're trying to appease everybody, and you end up appeasing nobody. And NXT, on the other hand, it has a product that's already established on its own channels. It's doing its own thing, and it's kind of it's kind of gone in and gone, "This is our product, take it or leave it," to BT Sport. And BT Sport gone, "All right, we'll take it," and then from here we'll see what happens. But it was a shame. I really, really wanted World of Sport to succeed, because. Only, and selfishly, because I see like yourself and like Howard and
Kirby was on it.
Ollie all appearing on telly, going, "That's my mates. There's my mates on telly. Come on, lads!" I'm every week. I'm going, "There's my boy. There's my guy. There's the lady. There she is. There he is." It was ace, and I want that feeling again. Like
I think
the
the bad thing about wrestling is in mainstream culture, it's got one chance and that's it. And then once it's fucked, like you got another 10 years before it gets another chance again, or however many years.
Well, no,
and
I don't know, because I've seen a
TV
lot
in TV terms they do. I think like ITV giving them a contract, like British wrestling, let's say then, because I guess AEW is still on ITV. There's definitely an audience for it there. WWE's on BT, but it has to be this fully fledged, all singing, all dancing. Like
on Sky Sports.
Here it is. Like, well, you know what I mean? It has to be this thing, though, where it's like it has to be here and ready. And I don't want to spend any time getting over maybe the kinks. Like AEW was ready to go from day one, pretty much, and it had a load of money spent to it. World of Sport needed. I don't know what it. Well, I know what happened. Did you do any of the live dates with them, Liam, or not?
No, I didn't do any of the live dates.
No, because that was actually, I think, a relative success. And I think off the back of that, with wrestling, knowing wrestling, doing live shows, understanding your product, seeing what works, then trying to translate that onto TV, I think that might have been a better way of doing it. But I just don't think they had the room to breathe. Going back to you though, Liam, like at that time, what was happening with you? If you're okay talking about it, and what was it?
So
was there a pinch point where you thought, right, fuck this, like I'm done?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of like personal stuff that was going on around that time that had led me to feel like I needed to step away from wrestling. But at the same point, I'd become fatigued with it, and I almost had a bit of a choice of going, whoa, what can I do in this current situation that I'm in. So it was a case of going, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna have to come away. And at that point, like, I was burnt out. I realised that now that I was completely burnt out with it, that I had lost a lot of passion for it, that I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, that I didn't know where I wanted to go, and that I was stuck in this sort of like middle ground of like, oh, babyface, cheery, like, oh, I do this dancing stuff, but I actually really enjoy this side out of it, and I much enjoy the serious side, but I've almost got to be fluid between them, which again comes to this appeasing everybody and getting nowhere, which is what I felt like I was doing, is that like I was a solid hand, but like I wasn't really going anywhere with it. So at that point it was a case of going, I'm gonna have to step away from it, really.
Was it a wrench to do that? Was it difficult to do that?
Oh yeah, massively. It was a real, it was a struggle mentally to go, I'm going to have to step away from a lot of people that I'm friends with, a lot of things that define me, because like I'm a wrestler. This is what I do. Like
there's a social life that's attached to it as well, isn't there? Like going to shows and chatting, or even like an online, like just chatting in WhatsApp groups and Facebook Messenger groups and stuff like that. Like if I was all of a sudden walk away from wrestling, I think there'd be this huge social side of it that would just go like,
yeah,
which must have been the struggle.
Like, yeah, definitely. Which is where like personal training came in quite handy, and like around that similar time, like I'd made the choice to move to a different gym, and luckily the team there was fantastic, and we were actually a team of personal trainers, which meant that I had a lot of like support around me rather than a lot of backstabbing, which you see in like the fitness community. So that almost like filled in that spot, and like I've got friends for life that are from like a personal training background now, that have nothing to do with wrestling. So then there was the opportunity to do the world of sport stuff, but being honest, I wasn't in the right headspace for it, and I was like, I don't really know what to do with it. I didn't go into it particularly feeling good about myself.
I think we chatted about it like a little bit, because obviously you had the Rory Coyle match just after that run as well, and I think I remember speaking to you about like, not obviously that, but then the world of sport stuff, and I remember kind of thinking, oh no, I'm not sure this is gonna be, because obviously I like the whole time ask anybody, like I was like, it'd be great for Liam to come back, because I think North's always been on the main filled with people that I really really enjoy working with, but I remember that last match with Rory Coyle, there was definitely different, like you were very much like, even though you know you've got a lot of people who you're friends with in the locker room, and they were all like, come on, stay, it was like you were very much like, nah.
Yeah, like I was pretty sure that the Rory one was like my last one, where I was like, nah, I'm out. There were bits with it where I didn't feel comfortable coming back into it for various reasons. From trying to appease people and then not getting anywhere with it, that I was just like, you know what, I don't need this in my life, which is where I sort of made the choice to then, when I came back into it, I went, actually, you know what, I'm going to do this a little bit more by what I want to do with it and what I feel passionate about and what I want to get from it.
It's a really good place to come from.
You've kind of reached sort of a kind of wrestling Shangri-La, really, because you You now are at a point where, and I know obviously current circumstances make the following statement not as powerful, but you're in a situation where you are doing your own thing and you're doing a job that you enjoy and a job that you love more than anything else. And then there's wrestling there, and you have cultivated so many strong friendships, and you haven't burned bridges as you've gone, and you to the point where you can dip in and dip out as you wish, and do that, and do something you love, just do the stuff you want to do, and then come away again. And if a year goes by and nothing comes up that really, tickles your pickle, then you haven't got to do it. And if 3 things come in a year, that's amazing. If 4, if 1, whatever, that's a really blessed position to really be in when you break.
I'm in an extremely fortunate position, and I'm extremely lucky to be in a position where I have people like Andrew that think so highly of me, and like other people that think highly of me. That it's allowed me to do that thing, because I realise and I recognise that I now don't put in as much graft as I did when I was wrestling full time, and there is part of me that goes, should I really be allowed to do that? Should I be and again, this is where like we were talking earlier on about that debate of like, well, who gets those points? And for me, I think one of the reasons why I took that massive step out and went, right, I'm out, is because I didn't want to be that person that sort of like, I never wanted to become that person that only did like one show every like 3 months because that was the only place that he was getting booked, and it was like he's still hanging on, but like he's way but I was like, if I'm out, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like I always want to be rising, which is where now I'm fortunate, and like say with like Rise as well, where it's like I'm just fortunate to be in a position where I'm being able to do things there.
I think that gives testament to the work that you have already done, though. Like that's testament to the work that got you to that position, because look, let's be frank about it. There's plenty of people who have taken a year off, 2 years off, come back, and people have been like, okay, good, what would you come back for? And in fact, it's more often than not that happens at the level that we're all at, I would say. But to get the reaction of people where people are like, yes, okay, cool, we still fucking care about Liam Slater. I think that's, I think it's credit to obviously not only yourself, but it's credit to everyone else that you'd worked with in the promotions. That
absolutely.
But again, that then just comes back to credit to yourself in the fact that you're able to work in that way. There's a lot of people who burn themselves out, but as Tom alluded to, burn bridges as well. So to be able to come back with just the good grace of everyone going, and it made me think about kind of my own position in wrestling, because I'm not a full-time promoter. I'm very much a part-time promoter, but probably working full-time hours at certain levels. But it does make you start to think, should you be slogging your guts out? Because there was definitely a part of last year, which I've talked about before, where I've been in the same position as you, where I was like, fuck this. Like, I am not getting what I'm putting into this. I got very bitter about, not bitter, that's wrong, but I got very down on the whole experience. And luckily, after, good people around us and a couple of really good shows off the back of it, it was like, actually, I'm going to do this at a much more manageable, less kind of mentally taxing route, if that makes sense. I'm not going to put pressure on myself, basically. Like,
I was in a super fortunate position that like I was like wrestling like full time pretty much, that I was in a really fortunate position of like wrestling pretty much every weekend and having a lot going on. But yet I was jealous, but yet I was bitter about people doing really cool things, and I wasn't being productive in that side of things. I was just looking at other people and going, why are they doing that? Why are they getting to do that? Why are they going to Japan? Why are they going to Germany? And then not taking any initiative myself from it. And so I had no reason to be bitter and angry about it. But then I also didn't change the circumstances that I was in until I went, right, okay, I'm gonna come away from this, because I didn't really know what else to do from that point.
I think a lot of people do that as well, where they like. I challenge anyone who says that they don't promote through to Mr. DJ in the corner, where they see people doing well. And I'm not saying that people aren't happy, and I am happy for other promotions. I love seeing other promotions doing well. Love seeing other people doing well.
Happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
But are you telling me that when someone's doing something that is in your... I'm not saying this happens all the time, but I was in the situation exactly the same where I saw other promoters getting these opportunities, doing well, working hard, and blah, 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 where I was like, I'm so glad that they're doing that, but fuck me, looking at myself in the mirror, I should be doing that. I'm the one who should be... And then,
that's a conversation you have with yourself, but it's not a conversation
100%.
which you've always beat yourself. Because I've been there with stuff that I've done, and it's tough sometimes when you see people like get breaks that you feel like are yours, but then I've been on the receiving end of that, where I've had people be upset with me for the same reason, and that's made me take stock and go, no, it's if they've gone for them and not me, it's just not my time right now, and it's not my place, and you grind and you find a new way to go, and you can't get bitter and angry about that sort of thing, because zero good comes of it. You give yourself ulcers.
I totally agree, and I speak to a lot of wrestlers who are very quick to beat themselves up, beat other people up, and not then just go, hey. Just concentrate on yourself and concentrate on the positive things that are going on in your life. And if there are changes that need to be made, which, come on, as a personal trainer as well, there's no denying that changes do need to be made at times, and people need to be honest with themselves. But it's doing it in a way that is manageable, and it's doing it in a way that is not just only manageable physically and logistically, but mentally, I think, more than anything else. There's too much beating up, certainly in the wrestling scene. I mean, Twitter, for one, is toxic as all shit. And I think I'm hoping that you've come back into wrestling into a similar mindset. I think that I came back, and not that I ever really left, into promoting and going, no, I'm going to preserve my own path. And if it's different to somebody else's, brilliant. Because it's very much my own. And I think that's similar to you.
Yeah, personal training really gave me... It made me a better person, in a sense of, with the team that I was involved in and the education that I did around it, in terms of goal setting and values and all those sort of things, that I went, right, who actually am I? What do I actually want? Where do I actually want to go with stuff? It stopped me from beating myself up, and it's almost something that I wish would be more prevalent in wrestling, in terms of what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? How do you want to go about doing that? Realistically, if we're looking at SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. Realistic's a real thing. If you're coming into wrestling and you're 40 years old, are you really gonna? Is it realistic to think, well, why am I not being booked on everything, and why am I not at WWE? In the same way, if for my example, if I'm a white dude that sort of has a beard and is in fairly decent shape, is it really realistic for me to think, I'm definitely going to stand out in front of everybody else, or do I have to do something different to make that happen?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So what was when you came back? What was it in your life, I guess, which I think is what you kind of starting to allude to, where you went, you know what, I've still got time for this. This is something that I still have a passion for. I'm gonna. Was it simply Shreddy in that match, or was it a different change? I know we've touched on quite a lot of that already, but
yeah. So I don't think I would have done it if it wasn't for that initial push into it. I think I would have still kept a little bit of a distance out of it. I think home wise, I'm very much not. I don't want to say settle I'm settled, but I'm very much in a very good space around it with Ella, who's massively supportive, and it's been a real good influence on me. We've been in a better place with Sienna, my daughter, where it's okay, cool, now I have a balance out of this, and now I have to go, actually, no, I need a weekend, 2 weekends where I can make sure that I see her, which has made saying no to things easier, because I've gone, actually, no, I don't have time to do that. In the same way that there was a show recently where I got a message pretty much last minute about, can you do it? And I was like, no, because I've got plans this weekend, which has been a complete change. But then again, it's at a point where I don't need to do those things. So yeah, I think it was just home life became a bit more comfortable. I felt a bit more settled in like my personal training role, where I was like, cool, like I don't have to have the weekend as a chance to like rest and recover. I can do different things.
That's really cool. And I think, like in these times that we are living through now, I think like that truth and that honesty, I think your promo, which was incredibly truthful, and I think you were not scared in kind of admitting to your past mistakes or admitting that you'd gone through some stuff and had to learn from it. Like for me personally, I'm all about learning from your mistakes. It's like obviously you will do things that you're not massively that you look back on and oh fuck, I shouldn't behave that way. But I think the honesty in which you came out and was like, look, this is what I did, this is how I thought, this is how I've gone to remedy it, this is how I've gone to do this, and this is where I am now. And I've got a lot of time and a lot of respect for you doing that, especially in wrestling, because I think it's dead easy for people to really like hang you out to dry for any mistake anyone makes or any kind of shortfall.
And they'll never forget about it, do they? They always keep fucking poking at it.
Yeah. I think that's true. So I think continue keeping that honesty and like sticking to your principles that you've outlined quite firmly there. I hope more people end up doing that. I think the majority of people in British wrestling are part-time. I know that Jamie Screwface tweeted something. I'm not sure on the timing of it, but I think the sentiment of like having another plan, having something else to fall back on, I think is right. I'm not sure the timing is kind of like forced that down people's throats at the minute. I'm not again talking about mental health.
I think it's one of them things where like with all that's gone on, the last thing you want to hear is have you got a backup plan? It's like it was like when I got stuck on a train once and somebody said you should take driving lessons. Great, that's a real brilliant help now. That's an amazing help. You say that.
There's a bit of it. I think there was a little bit of that where I'm kind of like, well, there is an element. We can't start to the people who have gone 100% and have gone out being full-time wrestlers, regardless as to whether they live with their mums or they've taken a massive fucking loan out to do it, or they're lending and borrowing, or they're lying about it. Who gives a fuck, right? The commitment to doing that should also be as admired as the person who has a backup plan, or the person who is operating at a capacity in which keeps them healthy and sane, and. So I think in this period of reflection, I think Liam's story is certainly a really
very inspirational for people.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I hope so. Like a big part again why I came back into wrestling is what I touched on earlier is the training and helping people develop, and to go along with your point there, I think you've got to reflect sometimes in terms of what is doable for you at that moment in time. Yeah. So me when I'm 18. Fuck yeah, I'm going everywhere. Like, I missed my graduation because I was in a car going up to Scotland to do some All-Star dates. Genuinely, no word of a lie. People were on stage, in the robes, shaking hands with Patrick Stewart. And I was, because Patrick Stewart was a guy from...
wow.
He
Patrick
was like the
Stewart? Well, hang on.
Yeah,
so
he was like
the
university dean for Huddersfield. Yeah. And I was in the car going up to Scotland to Craig Tara. But like... At that point, I was going full in for it. At this point now, no. And I think people have to find.
You'd have
that
gone and met Picard now, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I'd done different things at uni. I think, if I'm looking back on that point. So to take UKW for example, there's a mix of people there where there's some young lads that I'll touch on quickly. There's a lad named LIAM SLATER, no relation. I've mentioned him a couple of times. He is, I think he's 16 at the moment, so there's a legality thing with it. Give him a few years, and we will all be sitting here going like, "Fuck me, LIAM SLATER's fucking good." So we
could do like a dad and son tag team in North, couldn't we? We could definitely do
that. Or like a Gene and Anderson sort of deal, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like unbelievable. Then there's a lad named Jet Marshall as well, who's class, just a real good talent. To speak on the person that we weren't mentioned earlier on, if you're looking for like this sort of like rascal character, like he's there. There's a lad named Ellis Barker as well who's fucking class. And these are young lads that are all like, I'm like, go for it, do your stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's a guy
That's
called...
the time to do it, right, though?
Exactly the time. Then there's a guy called Tommy Dillon, who is an older guy at UKW who's got kids that come with him to the training session. And he's fantastic. He's a really enjoyable... Like, I've really enjoyed working with him. For him, he enjoys doing the shows there. Like, he enjoys his time. He gets a lot out of the shows. And past me might have looked on that like in a bit of a negative light. Now I'm like, this is fucking cool. Like he gets to go out there, do his stuff, enjoy himself. His kids love it. Like what a fantastic opportunity! What a fantastic thing to do.
Exactly. I think when I was a musician, I think that was the same thing. I used to look at people who were like in their mid-30s in cover bands and think, oh, what are you doing? Oh. Now I'm like, I'd fucking love to do that in the garage with my mates. Are you joking? But yeah, I think there's a time and a place for everything. And I think what's been really, really, really interesting talking to you, Liam, is, again, I've said it before, but it's just that scope on view of wrestling, I think. And I think it's important to, for a promotion like ours, who's, somewhat in the spotlight, to be able to say, like, you don't have to be fucking going hell for leather. Like, I don't want people to be fucking killing themselves.
Burn themselves out.
Nah, no way. Like, no way. So I think we'll end the whole, like, our journey through, like, Liam at North and came back with. Is there any matches that you can remember that you've had at North which have really, like, stood out for you as enjoyable, or is there any particular people that you've worked with at North? I know that you're close with Shreddy and Rory Coyle and people like that, but is there anything else that stands out for you?
Yeah, so in terms of like a couple of like bigger matches that I enjoyed, the one with Rory was really enjoyable. That was a cool one. The one against Primate, which is the birth of John Fall as well. Yeah, which I love that fact. In that clip, you can sort of see me just wandering out of frame. So I enjoyed that one. I felt like the tag match where I turn on Dom that was cool. Was like that was a good one. I think all those matches to me stand out because it was a chance to be creative with wrestling and try some different things and put some different ideas into place. What is a shame is that Dom didn't find his Porky York character that he finished up with, because that would have he was nearly there. He was just sort of like touching on it.
And I think we were all in different headspace at that time, and I think we were probably quite hard on Dom, I think. And I'd say that to Dom now as well, because he's such a lovely bloke. Like,
absolutely.
But he had, there's just something with him at the time where it was like, he's just not quite there. But he had something, and then it wasn't until about a year and a half ago I see him do Porky York at Rise, and I was like, fuck, I missed it.
As soon as he did it, I saw him backstage, and I was like, this thing that you've just done now, use it, go with it, like just run with it, do it.
So we did it. Sorry, go on. Sorry, you broke it down.
And that's it's something that I look at in terms of like. I like to think that I've helped like Rory develop as who he is, and like Bassman when he was around, Shreddy, Primate. Like I think there's a lot of people in the Northeast that like I wouldn't say like I'm nowhere near training, but I think I've had a fair input into who they are.
You've definitely been a sounding board. Yeah, you've definitely been. You're a really good sounding board in that respect. Yeah, I remember. I was going to say we recently did, or a couple of weeks ago we did a NCL3. We're in this together. Watch through like directors commentary thing, and it was the one where Dom came out and hadn't told anybody that he was going to wear basically Danny O'Doherty's coat and had a rose in his mouth. And I still remember the bit where I think I'd been talking to somebody else, came at the back, and I was like, is Dom doing a promo? And he's like, yeah. I was like, what the fuck is he, what's going on? And then that actually ended up becoming the Porky York. So there is a lesson in that where it was like, oh fuck, right, I should have, at that point I should have known to have just dragged that out a little bit. But yeah.
But he didn't know where he was with that either at that point. He was just sort of like trying things. And again, you try things and sometimes they stick and sometimes they don't stick.
The great thing about wrestling though, is that
absolutely
risk that we always take and go like, oh, oh shit, is this gonna go over?
Going to Welly with the Venga Boys and going like, let me try this. That could have gone shit. And then I don't think I'd be sat here talking to you because that spawned a lot of things for me.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it did. But yeah, I think my favourite time, my favourite period of time with Liam was obviously the start, and that Sons of You Laid, Don Black, because that was the first time we ever tried any kind of like longer form storytelling. I think more than anything else, and it was like teasing turns, and then when you did that, I think it might be in NCL 6, I think, when you turned, and it was just like, I think that was when I really got the bug and was like, nobody saw that coming at all. That was fucking great. But yeah, it was great. It was very, very good. So I think we've come to a natural conclusion. I want to say thanks, Liam, very much for being on here. It's been a little while that we've had you in the pipeline, as it were.
I've been begging to come on since number 1.
I know. I know. We never get.
All right,
now,
fine. You're on now. It's fine.
Now with the powers of the interweb and Corona, like we've been able to.
The powers of Corona.
We've been able to get the logistics right rather than get you up in a car up from Leeds. We've got you here. So yeah.
Amazing.
So I think on that note, we'll say thank you very much. I hope everyone's keeping well out there. You can catch us North_NCL on Twitter and Instagram. North Wrestling.
Hold on. We ain't just finishing like that, mate. We've got questions, haven't we?
We haven't got any fucking questions.
Not any questions.
No, I've
if you do send questions through, let's sit down next week. Let's do a question special.
Let me have a look on Instagram. Hang on a minute, because I can only get on my phone. This is going to be
while Andrew's looking for questions.
Oh, we have.
We have got questions.
Sorry, go on.
I appreciate the time that people have listened to this, because I realise that I have rambled in points. So I massively appreciate anybody that's gone through listening to this, and also massively appreciate anybody that's invested their time into me as a wrestler, because like, again, that's something that I didn't recognise beforehand, and now I look back on and go, there was a lot of people that spent a lot of time and effort in me. So yeah, if you've listened to this, thank you. I appreciate it.
To be fair, Liam, like since I've started in Absolute and that backstage, like you're one of the genuine people to go to speak to.
Yeah.
I always remember setting up a telly and you were the first one there to watch every single match on the show.
Oh, that was class.
Anyone
was
came
fantastic.
backstage and you were just wanted to give them pointers, you wanted to help, and that to me is what goes for, and is what I notice backstage with people. And I always think there's certain people who 100% are so genuine and want to make the business better than what it is, and you're exactly one of them who does
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very much so, and I think that was one.
Questions.
That's why I was really happy just to put the full stop on that. That's why I was one of the main things I was happiest about was having Liam Slater's like wrestling mind back in the locker room, because I think it gave everyone a lift. And being one of the originals, you know, I prefer to have people like Liam about. So there you go. Right. So questions. We haven't really got any questions. There isn't any. I thought there was. The only ones that we had were the ones like who would be the person you would bring in from the list of future endeavours WWE stuff.
And so it bloody begins. Like,
and that was.
Are we bringing in Drake Maverick Bowers?
Do you know who asked that question?
Was it
Screwface Ahmed?
Well, he should know better.
He should. No, but I think maybe a little bit of a quick word on how does everyone think about. And there's nothing else that's going on in wrestling at the minute.
Howard Finkel died, bless.
Oh God, yeah, that was horrible. Yeah,
and he was the voice of your childhood. That
he's the voice of wrestling.
Yeah,
was absolutely the voice of wrestling.
Yeah.
But it's been a woolly 24 hours. That's why I've got the bags under my eyes, because we've been dealing with all this.
What was it you nicknamed it, Tom?
A bloodbath is what it was in WWE. A bloodbath. 30 plus. WWE superstars and staff let go within the space of a couple of hours, and
I don't think it'll end.
No, this isn't it. This isn't just. And the thing is, right? This isn't just like Brenda from Accounts and a few others. Like, we're talking Rusev, Kurt Angle, the Good Brothers, like Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, Drake Maverick, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins. Heath Slater's been there for 16 flipping years. Mike Chioda, who's been a ref
That
in
was
that
a
company
shock.
for 31 years.
I thought
Like-
that was the most shocking one, was Mike Chioda. I was like,
For me, Fifth Finlay was the shocking one for me because I thought
Yeah.
he's the one who produces all the girls backstage, and
Yeah.
you can tell when it's a Fit Finlay match. For
Yeah.
him to go there, that doesn't make much sense to me. That one.
it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because
phenomenal.
they're
In the
obviously
worst possible way,
all-
phenomenal.
independent contractors and their current contractors with WWE, and there's that whole conversation going on to then cut the contract off.
Are they going to bring him
Just-
back in 3 months once the corona dies down, or is it just one of them?
Well, the
Not all of
producers
them.
are on furlough, so
Yeah.
if they presumably if they wanted to, they could bring the producers back.
Yeah.
'Cause they're on
Is that producers?
furlough.
Is that all the producers, or is that the ones like Fit Finlay and?
Hurricane.
From what we understand, the producers that are on furlough, that have been let go on furlough, are Finlay, Lance Storm, Mike Rotunda, Shane Helms, Scott Armstrong, Pat Buck, Sarah Stock, Sean Devari, and Billy Kidman.
See,
so
that-
those are that's
Being
a big
placed
team,
on
innit?
furlough is a lot different.
It's different. Yeah.
A lot different because it means that they'll be able to claim lost earnings. Well, I don't know
All
if
the
it's the
oth-
same over in USA.
All the wrestlers are independent contractors, so it's like
Yeah,
see it
that's a
out.
different thing.
Yeah.
And they're definitely getting rid of the ones that they don't use that much.
I'm going to be gutted when I can't watch a No Way Jose match again. Like, it's just, you know what I mean?
But it's weird because it's like
man who
what's
lost his
shocking
job,
about
though.
this one is that there are people. You say that, but there are people on this list who were on Monday Night Raw this past week.
Yeah.
Like no way Jose. Like the story with No Way Jose is he travelled on a plane on his own. He got a bus on his own to the performance centre because there was nobody else travelling on these particular forms of transport. He had this match against Bobby Lashley. He travelled all the way back, and then got let go.
Same with Sarah
Right.
Logan. Sarah Logan got destroyed off. Who did she get destroyed off again?
Shayna Baszler.
Shayna
yeah,
Baszler.
so
For what?
she was on Monday.
You know what I mean?
And she was gone. Gallows and Anderson were on basically a WrestleMania main event.
the
A
best
week and a
match of
bit
the
ago.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a phenomenal match.
See, I preferred the Firefly match, if I'm being honest. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Are we going to get into a
I mean,
debate
no,
with all
No,
those
because
people?
300 other podcasts are talking about it over waited 2 weeks.
It's not a
No.
match. It was a segment, not a match.
Who cares? It was fun. Quiet down.
It's fantastic.
AEW
I don't
fan 133 on Twitter.
You found me.
Rusev was a sad one. EC3 was a sad. They're all sad ones.
But every one of them has been underutilized, though. Every fucking single
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is a couple in there that have been calling for a release for a long time, and it
Did
just
you,
and people have gone, well, you should be happy because they got their release. Well, yeah, but they've released them in the middle of a freaking pandemic, so it's not like they can like debut on Impact on Wednesday because they might not even be an Impact on Wednesday. Like that's the bit that gets me is people going, oh, and also the other thing that's ground me gears on this over the last couple of hours has been people going, why are they sad? Why are they miserable? They've got money. I said, but it's not about making money. Like somebody was getting onto Drake Maverick saying, oh mate, look at you crying, there's people who've lost businesses. It's like because Drake Maverick has money in the bank, he's not allowed to be sad that he's lost his dream job.
Also-
according to people on Twitter.
You don't know that. He might be fucked up his up to his
Exactly.
eyeballs in fucking debt. Like, nobody
You
knows
don't
it
know how
well.
these people are spending their money. Ric Flair always said, if I made 20 grand, I spent 30. So, like, it's like a lot of people probably still, like most of us, living paycheck to paycheck. You know?
But also it's to me, it's a little bit. Everyone like, I tell you what, that's the final straw. Like the final straw, like. Have you not had enough final straws from this heinous billionaire? Like, they're a horrible company, and we're gonna still like. Unfortunately, everyone will keep watching it. I know they fucking will.
Following
I haven't
wrestling
watched
is a
it in
bit
fucking
like, following
ages.
WWE is a bit like following a football team, where you'll be outraged. Oh, I hate it. I'm never coming back.
Well, I was just about to say.
Again. Anyway,
I was just
see you
about to
Saturday.
say. I for one can't wait for Newcastle United's Saudi Arabian overlords to come and take on, make us the richest club in the whole fucking world. Don't do it. Don't do it.
That's us demonetised.
That's just cancelled.
That's us cancelled. No, just Chop cancelled.
I'm embracing
that's
it.
true.
I'm
That's
embracing it coming to the town, you know what I mean?
Somebody ring Chop's landline immediately.
Ours will potentially could be the richest club in the fucking world, man.
Yep.
That hasn't set in yet.
All right. Just
Can't fucking wait.
to go back to it, right? The question was, who from the list would you like to see in NXT? I don't know the humour of these questions.
Amanda Stavely.
Kylian Mbappe. What?
Leo Rush.
Mate, honestly, if I was to choose one, Rusev.
Rusev
I think he's been the most underutilised guy for fucking years. He does comedy. He does straight up. He's a bull in the ring. He's fast as fuck. Like, he's an absolute specimen. And he looks dangerous. So he can either be dangerous as fuck, or he can do the comedy stuff as well. Like, who is the last person that's able to do that? And he's Eastern European, so you can play into the Eastern European horrible villain trope as well. It's a fucking booker's paradise. Why they haven't used him? He should have had the belt on him.
Himself over.
He should have had the belt on him like 4 years ago. Whenever it was when he first came through, it's probably longer than that now. When he first came through, and he was absolutely unbeatable. Even then, when he was being rammed down our throats, he was fucking unmissable.
But he's not related to anyone.
I don't understand.
That's why he's not related to anyone.
Yeah, probably, but it just doesn't make any sense. Like, he's a proper booker's dream. Like, he instead they put it on fucking Goldberg. They put the belt on Goldberg. They're like, we don't have anyone. It's Roman or Goldberg. That's all we've got. You fucking Rusev. You want Rusev? I don't know. Personally, I think he's been standout for years. Anybody else want to take that one? Who would they pick up? I think Heath Slater as well. I think it was.
Christ, it was his turn. Like,
I saw someone's take on Heath Slater. So forgive me if I'm going to quote you, but you had it bang on. It might have been an NXT UK guy. It's really difficult to get your ass kicked week after week after week after week, make everyone else look really fucking good, and still get over and be relevant as Heath Slater did. Like, I think he's another one who's completely invaluable. To get rid of him, I'm like, oh, well done. He didn't need to get any wins. He got his ass handed to him the whole fucking time. He made other people look fucking incredible, and they're just gone, now we've got nothing for you. What the fuck do you mean you got nothing for him? You got everything. You got everyone on your fucking roster that you want to make good for him. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's my
this will be a discussion we're going to have to continue another time, I do believe.
Yeah, I mean, this goes into a whole question of the wrestling world cycle in terms of how long do people stay. 16 years is a fucking long time to be at that company.
Yeah.
If
to
you
be in
think
any
back to,
job.
like, if you think back to like the 90s, like people were coming and going and they were flying through it. And then it suddenly became this thing of like, oh no, people stick around for ages. So I think that's a question that you raised with it. Do I think the timing's appropriate? No, I think this is a fucking horrendous time to do it. Yeah. And I think it's shown in a really bad light. But yeah, I agree with that. Did they really need to get rid of Heath Slater? No, because I think he does a fantastic job as an enhancement talent. But then that cycle of fresh things needs to be asked, and then you've got to ask the question: how do you build stars and how do you push that forward? But again, it's a conversation for
the mad thing I find with some of these like lower ones is, you know, when you see them on the house shows that they come at the arena or whatever, and you don't really see that side of them because what you usually see is the same thing on Raw every week. But when you see them do a house show, you see just how freaking good they are.
Yeah.
And Heath Slater was one of them who was like really, really good. Know how to play the crowd, you know. And it's just
wasn't it Taker who used to say something about house shows where he was like, you know, on the house shows we just do it's its own little universe and we do our own thing. And you do have house show stars. And Heath Slater, I think I saw Heath Slater at the arena once, and he was one where it was like, fuck, this guy looks like you have that glow off them. We're like, this guy knows how to work a fucking crowd. But it's going to be really interesting to see where everyone turns up. But I tell you what, this is what happens when you sign fucking 300 people to your roster. Yes. And then you're like, oh shit, we need to save some money. Well, yeah, of course you are. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. I kind of hope, from a creative point of view, they don't just all end up in AEW, because then AEW is going to just become WCW, because it's going to get bloated as fuck as well.
I don't know what they're going to be able to do with all of them. unfortunately.
I'm really happy to see Brody Lee there because I think Brody Lee was another underutilized guy. I think the character that they use of him is going to be really, really interesting. I haven't seen anything for the last couple of weeks though, but like having Matt Hardy in there as well, it's like
if you're clever, you get someone out of them who've been released could make themselves in NWA Power and make themselves a massive name on Power, and then maybe go up to AEW, and then, you could make your return back to
Gallows and Anderson, and Gallows and Anderson will go back to Japan.
They'll
go back to Japan surely because they were fucking huge.
What was surprised me about that one was Gallows is so respected backstage. He's like the way they were talking was that he was like the new sort of Undertaker backstage. Like they was that much respected as like a locker room general in there, which bizarre why they would get rid of him if he was that much of a pawn in backstage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is, and I think we're gonna end this conversation. I'm gonna end this podcast. Looking at the time now. Just gonna end it on a tweet from Rory Coyle sent yesterday. The world is fucked. I can't buy flour anywhere. Everyone is going crazy. The cocked many sucked last week doesn't taste so good anymore. Twitter is full of hypocrites. The evil corporation did something evil. Here's my dog. His name is Newt. He is fucking class.
In Newt, we trust.
So on that note, we're going to say goodbye. I'm going to say thank you to Liam for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure having you, and we'll definitely have you back soon again. Sorry there's no guest.
LIAM SLATER.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here. Sorry there's no guest of the wrestler guys. We'll do that next time. I'll get a
just
good
give us the
one
point anyway, because I'm already tuned up, you know what I mean?
Oh, you cheeky
Fight and
rainbow.
talk. Fight and talk. So North_NCL, Twitter, Instagram, North Wrestling, NCL at Facebook. I mean, there's not really anything going out.
Liam, what's your Twitter handles?
So Twitter is Liam_SLTR, which is abbreviated for Slater. Instagram is Lazarus_PT, and my YouTube page is Lazarus Personal Training, where I am uploading some content about my journey back into fitness and getting back on board with stuff.
And this fat bastard over here might actually watch some of them and try and get himself motivated to do something as well. We will be streaming probably NCL 23. I think it was voted on Twitter at some point when all the other wrestling shows that are getting streamed stop. Please go to northwrestling.pivotshare.com. I know it's only $3.99 a month. Even if you just do it for 1 month, it's a little bit of a help. You can go back and watch some of the matches that Liam's been talking about. Liam versus Primate and Liam versus Rory Coyle are absolute must-watches. We might go back over the first couple of shows. I think NCL 2 hasn't got any commentary and NCL 4 hasn't got any commentary. So we might do a little bit of a recom, kind of like director's cut over that soon. And we might also do Let the Cannons Fly because the file was absolutely fucked for that. So the commentary's fucked on that. So we might do some of that type of stuff, but we're not rushing. We're going to be.
I've got guests lined up. We're getting some good North faithful guests in. We're just gonna, like you say, we're not going to rush it. We're just going to take our time.
Yeah. Get in touch if you've got any questions for us at any point. Get in touch if you've got any ideas for content or anything that you want to hear from us. Like we might do a questions only thing. But yeah, thank you for listening. Hopefully it's helped you pass the time. We're out of here. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Lovely guy.
Right, cool.
Lovely stuff.
It's good.
He's just gone as well as his mic question. He's still early on the first time.